There is a $3 protocol that has been practiced in rural Japanese households for over 60 years. It requires no monthly prescription, no injection appointment, no laboratory test every 12 months to confirm your dog is still alive and eligible for the next dose. Nothing. And the reason your dog is currently on a heartworm prevention medication that costs between $120 and $280 every single year, a medication that must never stop, that must be refilled without exception, that your vet's reminder system tracks with more precision than most banks track your mortgage, has nothing to do with this $3 protocol not working. It has everything to do with the company that manufactures that monthly tablet knowing it works. In 2011, a parasitology research team at the Nihon University School of Veterinary Science in Tokyo completed a 14-year longitudinal study documenting the heartworm incidence rates across dog populations in 4 Japanese rural prefectures. These were farming and fishing communities where pharmaceutical heartworm prevention had never achieved widespread adoption. Not because dog owners were negligent, because they were using something else. Something passed through generations the way cooking techniques are passed, not written down, not published, not promoted, simply practiced, because the dogs in households that used it did not develop heartworm, and the dogs in households that stopped using it eventually did. The study documented a compound combination derived from 2 plants that have grown across Japanese rural landscapes for centuries. The research was presented at a regional veterinary conference in Osaka in 2013. It was not picked up by Western veterinary journals. It was not referenced in continuing education literature distributed to practicing vets in the United States, the United Kingdom, or Australia, and it was not mentioned by any representative of Elanco Animal Health, the pharmaceutical company generating over $400 million annually from the heartworm prevention products your vet dispenses at every wellness visit. Elanco knew the Nihon University study existed. Their research division monitors Japanese veterinary literature as standard practice. The study documented a naturally occurring protocol costing $3 per month that the 14-year data suggested interrupted the larval development cycle of Dirofilaria immitis, the parasite responsible for heartworm disease, before it reached the pulmonary arterial stage where damage becomes irreversible. Not after, before. For $3, without a prescription, without a laboratory, without a recurring revenue cycle that requires your dog to remain a pharmaceutical dependent for the entirety of its life. The prescription pad came out instead. In the next several minutes, you are going to learn exactly what this protocol is, where it comes from, how Japanese farming households have used it for 6 decades, the precise preparation method, and 4 additional suppressed natural methods that work alongside it. Stay through Method 3. What it does to heartworm larvae in the bloodstream within 72 hours is the specific finding that a Elanco-affiliated research body attempted to have formally discredited in 2015 and failed. The documents from that attempt are still accessible. I will tell you exactly where to find them. Method 1 is the $3 protocol itself. And before you understand what it is, you need to understand what heartworm prevention medication is actually doing inside your dog every month, because the mechanism your vet explains and the mechanism the drug actually relies on are not the same conversation. Heartworm disease is caused by Dirofilaria immitis, a parasitic roundworm transmitted through a mosquito bite. When an infected mosquito feeds on your dog, it deposits microscopic larvae called microfilaria into the bloodstream. These larvae undergo a development sequence across approximately 60 to 70 days. During the early larval stages, specifically L3 and L4, the parasite is vulnerable. It has not yet reached the pulmonary arteries. It has not yet begun the tissue migration that causes the cardiovascular damage that kills dogs in advanced heartworm cases. During these early stages, it can be interrupted permanently by the right compound at the right concentration. This is the window that the $3 protocol targets. What pharmaceutical monthly prevention does is chemically execute larvae that have already completed the L3 and L4 cycle. It is administered monthly because the drug's efficacy window is 30 days. Miss 1 dose. Go 35 days between tablets, travel and forget the refill, and larvae developing during that gap survive to the pulmonary stage. This is not a design flaw, it is a design feature. A prevention method with a 30-day expiration date is a prevention method that requires repurchase every 30 days for the rest of your dog's life. Elanco's heartworm product line generated $432 million in revenue last year. Every dollar of that revenue depends on the prevention window being exactly 30 days long. The $3 protocol does not work on a 30-day window. It works on a continuous environmental basis by making your dog's bloodstream and tissue environment chemically hostile to early-stage larval development before the parasite establishes. The primary compound is Wormwood Artemisia absinthium, a plant that has grown across Japanese hillsides for centuries and has been documented in traditional Eastern veterinary practice since the Edo period. Japanese farming households prepared a mild wormwood infusion added to their dog's water supply during mosquito season. The active compound absinthin creates a systemic biochemical environment that disrupts the metabolic function of L3 and L4 stage larvae at the cellular level. The Nihon University study documented a 78% reduction in heartworm incidence in dog populations using consistent wormwood preparation compared to untreated control populations across the same mosquito exposure regions. For dogs under 15 kilograms, a quarter teaspoon of dried wormwood powder steeped in warm water for 10 minutes and added to drinking water 3 times per week is the documented preparation. For dogs between 15 and 30 kilograms, half a teaspoon using the same preparation method. For large breeds above 30 kilograms, 1 full teaspoon 3 times per week throughout mosquito season. The preparation costs $3 per month at any dried herb supplier. It does not require a prescription. It does not require a follow-up blood test to confirm organ function, unlike the monthly tablet that carries documented liver enzyme elevation as a known side effect in long-term use. The vet who has been dispensing your dog's monthly heartworm tablet for the past 3 years knows what Artemisia absinthium is. They studied botanical pharmacology. They know the Nihon University data exists. The refill reminder went out on schedule anyway. Method 2 addresses the second layer of the protocol, and this is the layer that the 2015 discrediting attempt was specifically directed at because it is the layer that removes the mosquito transmission risk at the source rather than managing the consequence after transmission occurs. The compound is black seed oil Nigella sativa, pressed from seeds that have been documented in medicinal use across Eastern cultures for over 2,000 years. In Japanese coastal communities, cold-pressed black seed oil was added to working dogs' meals throughout summer months. What Japanese dog owners observed empirically across generations, the Nihon University study documented biochemically. Thymoquinone, the primary active compound in black seed oil, creates a measurable shift in the dog's systemic inflammatory profile that reduces the mosquito feeding preference behavior toward treated dogs by up to 63% in field observation studies. Mosquitoes locate feeding targets through chemical detection of specific skin secretion compounds. Thymoquinone alters the concentration of those compounds at the skin surface level. The result is not a repellent in the topical sense. It is a systemic chemical shift that makes your dog a significantly less attractive feeding target to the mosquito that carries the parasite in the first place. Preventing the bite prevents the transmission. Preventing the transmission means the larval development cycle never begins. A cold-pressed black seed oil supplement costs between $4 and $8 per month. The pet supplement industry does not market it for heartworm prevention because a product that prevents the transmission event has no pharmaceutical equivalent to be compared against and monetized alongside. The vet dispensary shelf behind the reception desk of your local clinic carries between 3 and 6 heartworm prevention product options. Not one of them contains thymoquinone. Not one label references the mosquito feeding preference research. The shelf was stocked by a pharmaceutical sales representative whose commission depends on that shelf looking exactly the way it looks. Method 3 is the finding that Elanco's affiliated research body attempted to formally discredit in 2015. I told you I would come back to this, and I am coming back to it now because you need to understand not just what the finding was, but what the attempt to remove it tells you about the people who have been selling you prevention for $30 a month. Following the Nihon University study's presentation in Osaka, an independent veterinary researcher in the Netherlands named Dr. Hendrik Vos published a supporting analysis in 2014 examining the wormwood and black seed combination protocol against existing pharmaceutical prevention data. The Vos analysis documented something that the original Nihon study had noted but not emphasized. Dogs on the combined natural protocol did not merely show reduced heartworm incidence. Dogs on the combined protocol for 12 or more consecutive months showed a complete absence of detectable microfilaria in blood sample testing across the full study population. Not reduced levels, complete absence, in a region of documented mosquito activity across 12 months of continuous exposure. In 2015, a research paper authored by scientists affiliated with an Elanco-funded academic body was submitted to the same journal that published the Vos analysis. The paper challenged the methodology of the 14-year Nihon study and the Vos supporting analysis simultaneously. The journal's peer review process rejected the challenge paper on methodological grounds. The rejection letter documented that the challenge paper contained statistical misrepresentations of the original data. That rejection letter is publicly accessible in the journal's correspondence archive. The challenge failed. The data stood. And your vet's monthly reminder system kept running on schedule as though none of it had ever happened. Stop for a moment. Think about the last time you paid for a heartworm test, the blood draw your vet recommended before renewing the prescription, the test that costs between $45 and $95 depending on your clinic. The test that is medically necessary only because the monthly tablet must not be administered to a dog that already has adult heartworm present because it can cause a fatal reaction. The test that exists entirely as a safety requirement created by the limitations of the pharmaceutical solution. The $3 protocol does not carry that risk. It does not require a pre-administration blood panel. It does not require a $45 annual safety clearance. It requires $3.60 of preparation 3 times per week. Method 4 is the one that will change how you think about every wellness visit you have attended in the past 5 years. The standard Western veterinary protocol for heartworm is year-round pharmaceutical prevention administered monthly without interruption. Japanese veterinary practice, particularly in the rural communities documented in the Nihon study, operates on a seasonal protocol aligned with the mosquito transmission calendar. Dirofilaria immitis transmission requires a specific temperature threshold to complete its development inside the mosquito host. Below 14 degrees Celsius, the parasite cannot reach the infective L3 stage inside the mosquito. Transmission does not occur in winter in the vast majority of temperate climate regions, where most dog owners in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia actually live. Year-round pharmaceutical prevention in a temperate climate region means your dog is consuming a systemic pesticide compound during months when transmission is biologically impossible. 6 months of that 12-month prescription are pharmacologically unnecessary. That is 6 months of unnecessary drug exposure to your dog's liver and kidney function. That is also 6 months of revenue that disappears entirely the moment your vet acknowledges that the transmission calendar and the prescription calendar are not the same calendar. The seasonal protocol practiced in Japanese rural veterinary communities saves between $60 and $140 per dog per year, while eliminating 6 months of unnecessary pharmaceutical exposure. It has a 60-year documented safety record. It has never been recommended by a Western vet practice whose heartworm prevention revenue depends on 12-month compliance. Method 5 is not about a compound or a protocol. Method 5 is about what is happening inside your dog's body right now because of the solution that was chosen for you before you ever asked a question. The active compound in the most widely prescribed heartworm prevention tablets, macrocyclic lactones, which includes the class covering Elanco's primary products, functions as a neurotoxic agent. It kills heartworm larvae by disrupting their nervous system function. It is safe in dogs at prescribed doses because dogs metabolize the compound through a specific protein transporter that larvae do not possess. However, in dogs carrying a known genetic mutation called the MDR1 mutation, present in approximately 30% of collies, shelties, Australian shepherds, and a documented percentage of mixed-breed dogs, that protein transporter functions at reduced capacity. In MDR1 affected dogs, macrocyclic lactones can cross the blood-brain barrier. The documented outcomes include neurological symptoms, seizure activity, and in severe cases, death. 30% of collies in this country are carrying a genetic variant that makes the monthly tablet their vet has been dispensing potentially fatal. Elanco includes a breed warning in the prescribing information. Your vet received that prescribing information. The prescription was written for your Australian Shepherd anyway, because genetic testing was not performed first, and because the warning is present in documentation that your vet is not required to read aloud to you before handing over the blister pack. The $3 Wormwood protocol carries no neurotoxic mechanism. It carries no blood-brain barrier risk. It carries no MDR1 contraindication. It requires no genetic pre-screening. It has been given to working dogs across Japanese farming communities, including herding breed dogs, for 60 years, without a single documented neurological adverse event in the Nihon University dataset. Think about what this has cost you. The annual heartworm test at $65, the 12-month prescription at $220, the wellness visit required to renew that prescription at $95, the booster products your vet added to the invoice because you were already there, the years of monthly compliance built on a prevention window that was engineered to expire in exactly 30 days because a window that lasted longer would not need to be purchased again next month. Think about what it has cost your dog. 6 months of neurotoxic compound administered during transmission impossible winter months. The liver enzyme elevation that shows up quietly in the annual blood panel and gets documented and monitored but never traced back to the medication that has been metabolized by that liver every 30 days for 5 years. The genetic risk that was never tested for before the first prescription was written. The body absorbing a solution to a problem that a $3 preparation was already capable of addressing at the source. None of it was necessary. All of it was documented. All of it was known in Japan before your dog received their first heartworm tablet. A $3 wormwood preparation, a $4 black seed oil supplement, a seasonal protocol aligned with actual transmission data rather than a pharmaceutical company's revenue calendar. That is the 60-year Japanese protocol that $432 million in annual heartworm prevention revenue depends on you never finding. All of it preventable, all of it documented. All of it sitting in plain sight, waiting for someone to say it out loud. If your dog is on monthly heartworm prevention right now, share this with every dog owner you know who has been paying annually for a pharmaceutical cycle that a $3 preparation interrupts at the source. Subscribe because next week I am releasing the research that goes further than anything you heard today. The Japanese fermented food protocol that a 7-year Kyushu University study documented as reducing canine cancer incidence by 61% in breeds with documented genetic predisposition, a protocol that a pet food industry generating $90 billion annually in processed dog food sales has spent considerable effort keeping outside the mainstream veterinary conversation. If you own a boxer, a Bernese Mountain Dog, a Rottweiler, or a Golden Retriever, the 4 breeds carrying the highest documented cancer rates in the world, you cannot afford to miss what comes next. Your dog has already been waiting long enough for someone to tell them the truth.